All right, y'all, we're going to do something fun today. We're going to go to school and we're going to read this report by the United States Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs from the United States Senate. So this was published on December 14, 2021, which is today. So it's brand new and they just released this report on stablecoins and DeFi and in general. So I've actually read this already before this video, and I have to say they know their stuff. They actually know what's going on in the DeFi world. So we may feel like we're early in a lot of this, but the person who wrote this report and I guess the group that wrote this report definitely knows what they're doing, and they definitely know what's going on in the DeFi world. So this is going to be a report, the official report from the government about the DeFi stablecoin ecosystem, right? So let's get to it. So also, by the way, if you're not familiar with all of these concepts like DeFi, stablecoins, even Uniswap, like stuff like that, AMMs, this report actually goes into some of that, but on a very high surface level to give you an understanding and in order to get their points communicated across. So I highly suggest you read this, just for even for education purposes. So I highly recommend it. It is a good read. So I'm not gonna be very biased towards like pro crypto or against crypto. I'm gonna be reading this, like going through it with a blank state of mind, like as from a regular person or like a person in Congress or a regular person who does not know much about cryptocurrencies, right? So at the beginning here, they introduce what a stable coin is. So they will say it's pegged to the US dollar and it's always worth $1. So they're saying that this is currently being traded in like nearly 75% of crypto assets trading involved a stablecoin. So I'm not surprised with that because currently, even in DeFi or CeFi world, stablecoins are very good in the way that they allow you to transform from one ERC20 token to another token very easily. Instead of like if you want to go to cash instead, US dollar, you have to transfer it back to cash and then buy it at a CeFi and a centralized exchange into another token. Whereas if you have a stable coin, it's usually available in so many other chains and you can just use it to, if you want to go back to fiat, like stable dollar, in case there's like if you suspect the coin that you're holding gonna drop, so you want to sell it and then be in stable coin. So it makes it very easy to exchange your current position into a stable coin. So that's why this is, I think there's 75% of crypto trading involves stable coin. So they are saying that they are not really, stablecoins are not really a compliance with all of these laws like know your customer, anti-money laundering, because like if I get stablecoin into my wallet on MetaMask or whatever and then I put it into AVAX, go into Trader Joe, like I could be trading my stablecoin for another coin, right, without knowing who's on the other side. This is all algorithmically determined by the liquidity providers. I don't know who my providers are. They could be a criminal, they could be a normal person, right? So this is the risk. So anyway, so here's I highlighted the interesting points. It says stablecoins play multiple roles in DeFi, including simplifying the valuation of crypto assets that only trade on DeFi and act as a store of value between speculative trades. So they found no financial financial inclusion value in stablecoin, but many increased risks due to potential hacks, insolvency, technical failures. Additionally, stablecoin and their uses across DeFi have implications for national security and illicit finance. I agree with them. Like, so a stablecoin can only have value when we believe that it's pegged to a single dollar. That's what gives it value. So as you can see from the later example, like the Iron Bank, the Iron token, like when there is a security flaw in their design, it could get devalued to completely worthless. So this poses a big hack to us. And there are contract risks as well, although it's pretty low because stable coins have been around for many years. But there could be insolvency issue, like Circle, the company behind the stable coin, the stablecoin USDC, like they could go out of business, or something could happen to the fund, the supposed backing of the stablecoin, to cause insolvency to the coin. So even though this is decentralized finance, the coins that are offered, like Tether, USDC, or DAI token, they all have companies behind them. So they are, in a way, centralized. So here they go into whether stablecoins are backed by assets. So here they go very deep into Tether, mostly. So Tether is getting a lot of crap from the US government, and they recently settled in New York, so they cannot be used in New York at all. And they didn't really provide like documents to say that they actually have the reserve in their holding. So they were saying they were backed by commercial papers, cash equivalent, corporate bond, and other investments. If I recall, they only have like 2% cash or something, whereas everything else is on commercial papers, and they don't say where they get the papers from. So it could be from China, it could be, I know there's like real estate crisis in China right now, it could become worthless, right? So this is like, they're calling Tether out for all of this crazy thing. In my opinion, you shouldn't be messing with Tether. If anything, you can borrow Tether, so if they go out of business, you don't have to pay them back. But I would stay away from Tether if you have any holdings in DeFi and you don't want to, like, there's so many other choices, right? So why would you use Tether? So, and then they're saying, like, according to the Tether website, you need to pay them money in order to redeem your Tether token. So I guess that's one way for Tether to make money. All right, so, and then they say Tether stopped allowing all redemptions from US residents. So, and then the next thing they went into is about the owner of Alameda Research, Sam Bankman. So they were asked the process of redeeming Tether. So Sam said, well, he stated 4 separate times that the process was messy. So even the CTO of FTX the CEO of FTX is saying that it's pretty messy to redeem your Tether. So that's another sign to stay away from Tether. And then here it talks about USDC, which is a US stablecoin backed by Circle. And Circle is like very reputable, and USDC, it's pretty much in every chain right now. And it's used everywhere. I use it every day. So this is something I believe in, I trust in. I think they are backed. And this here says that Circle actually maintains a revenue share agreement with Coinbase for USDC. So that's why Coinbase is able to offer you USDC for like pretty much for free if you want to like convert it. And you actually get like 1% APY on it, which is pretty bad compared to DeFi, but we'll talk about that later. But apparently they have an agreement. So here it's where it's laid out that they actually have an agreement with Coinbase and they share the profits. So this revenue agreement is likely the reason that Coinbase does not charge users to purchase USDC. That is correct, they don't charge you. But it does charge them for purchasing competing stablecoins like Tether, raising questions of price discrimination and steering its customer towards USDC. Well, I don't blame them. Like, why would you sell your USDC for Tether? I have no idea why you would do that. So I think USDC, it's a much better choice stablecoin than Tether. So yeah, and then here goes, Coinbase pays 1% APY on USDC, which is amazing. And then it goes and goes. So here it goes into the backing of Circle. So USDC, it's currently backed by cash and cash equivalents, which they define to include US dollar deposit at banks and short-term high liquid investments that are readily convertible to a known amount of cash and have maturity of less than or equal to 90 days from purchase. So they are lending out the funds that you give them when you purchase USDC. They are lending it out or investing it for a return, for a small return. And that's how they are able to pay you the APY for it. You know, I don't blame them, but these are mostly pretty safe assets. They do hold them in the bank in like short-term liquidity investment. That means like they can convert it to cash very easily, and that means like this is pretty well backed. And I'm pretty bullish on that. And then the next one, they're going into Paxos. I actually don't know much about Paxos, but apparently it's also a stable coin. What's really interesting is that the majority of current supply of Pax dollar is locked into DeFi. So over 65% of Pax dollar supply as of November 11. So they are, instead of lending Pax dollar out to traditional liquids, traditional investments like USDC is doing, what Paxos is doing is they're putting that money into DeFi directly to earn interest. So I think they're putting it into something really stable, like a stable coin liquidity provider, and then they can stake those tokens to lend them out in DeFi to gain a bit higher return than traditional investments. So that's an interesting part about Paxos. And then what's here, many assets-backed stablecoin issuer also include binding arbitration and class action bans their terms of service, in their terms of service. So yeah, that's very important. So all of these stable coins have a forced arbitration clause in it and class action ban. That means if they get hacked, if they lose your money, if something happened to it and you lost all of your stable coins and they were not able to pay you, like you are not allowed to form a class action on anything. You cannot do that to any of these. So these are like forced agreement that you are forced to sign when you use their service. So that's something very important you should keep in mind. I actually don't know about this until I read about this. So you should look into all of these clauses to make sure that you're cool with using their coins. So all of the links are here as well. I will post a link to this report in the description below. And now what's really interesting, I think like for all of us time holder, I have a lot of time viewers, so I think y'all gonna appreciate this section. So this section is about algorithmic stable coins. So these are the protocols where the underlying assets like Olympus DAO, Magic Internet Money, and Iron, they are not backed by US dollar, but they are backed by a set of assets in DeFi. So like this is the high level description. So it actually mentioned Olympus DAO, right? Which is what Time Wonderland was forked from. It mentioned Magic Internet Money, which is the thing that Daniel came up with. And then Iron, which has a very interesting story. So let's get through all of these. So it actually, the person who wrote the report knows exactly what Olympus DAO is, and they know how it works. So they're saying that it's touting as a free floating reserve currency. So OM is backed by a basket of assets. Strictly speaking, Olympus DAO rejects being defined as stablecoin in its documentation. However, it defines its project as aspiring to create an algorithmic reserve currency backed by other decentralized assets. And I think that's a great description to what Olympus DAO is and to Time Wonderland is. It is like, I would call it like sort of, if you want to compare it to like a traditional financial institution, it could be like a hedge fund or some sort where they manage your money and your reserve, and then they invest it so you get part of the return. So their coin OM is backed by those assets in the treasury. So yeah, so then it goes detail into Olympus DAO, blah blah blah. So and then it noted the crazy high APY in this, right? So this is where Time got the APY from as well. So they mentioned that, you know, once the user obtained OM token, Olympus DAO advertised an eye-popping six-figure APY, over 439,000% APY as of December 13. So I think when they made this, Olympus DAO just upgraded to their new version. So this APY was not something for long term. It only lasted for a while. I think it's way down right now. So it's unfortunate that when they wrote this report, they happened to go to Olympus DAO and take this huge number. So that makes it sound like very much like a scam, right? So like for us time holders, we know exactly how it works. And as I explained in the video many times, so we should not worry about this. And I know Olympus DAO number is not this high right now. So people, and then it goes into, people in the crypto industry have warned that Olympus DAO may be a Ponzi scheme. So this is the Ponzi-nomics of these projects go into play. And they mentioned that many of these traditional journalists like Bloomberg describe Olympus DAO as having a Ponzi economics. So not necessarily a Ponzi, right? But then somebody said, CoinDesk wrote Olympus DAO. Yes, it's a Ponzi scheme, but who cares? So yeah, so the review in Time, and if you look at the price right now, you may agree with this, but this seems to be a very negative view on all of these projects. All right, so next section, Magic Internet Money and Abracadabra Money. So this is getting big. Like we are getting noticed by the Senate, by the government, like what we're doing. So Magic Internet Money describes itself as pegged stablecoin that's backed by interest-bearing tokens. Its platform called Abracadabra Money states in its documentation that it's always considered this Magic Internet Money token to be worth $1. So again, I sort of agree that this $1 is stated there, but it is a value that we all have to come to agree with, because if we lose the confidence in that token to its backing, then this could create a bank run, and it could collapse the value of Magic Internet Money, and that will not be good for all of us. But I think this risk exists for all stablecoins. The only difference is Magic Internet Money is backed by a set of assets, not the US dollar. Oh, Aaron has a nice screenshot from Abracadabra Money. So, we use ASCII arts, all these fonts. It's hilarious that they put Magic Internet Money and all these screenshots into an official report like that from the US government. So I think if you want to troll the government, then you probably did a good job right now. And then lastly, it talks about Iron. So the collapse of Iron, I guess. So Iron was a token that collapsed from $60 to zero in just a few hours. And it lost more than $2 billion in total value locked. So this is a real serious loss. I think it's probably one of the biggest. And this is a token that Mark Cuban invested in, and he lost his money in there. So there are very real risks to these stable coins like Iron, and it lost its peg. That's what the problem was. And usually what they believe was that if the value goes below $1, an arbitrator will come in there and raise the price back to $1 so they can profit it on another exchange. But in this case, it didn't happen, and then the price collapsed. So this failure, Mark Cuban, he lost his money in this collapse, and then afterward he told Bloomberg that there should be regulation to define what a stable coin is, and collateralization is acceptable. So I'm not opposed to having regulation on stablecoins, because I think this will help our ecosystem rather than hurt it. So the next section goes into, because stablecoins largely cannot be exchanged for goods and services outside a crypto ecosystem, stablecoin user will require a bank account to convert their stablecoin back to US dollar. That is very true. So if you want to get your coins from all your MetaMask, whatever, into your US dollar account so you can use it every day, you have to go through an exchange, and that exchange needs to go to the bank, which means they need to know who you are. So that's how I view places like Coinbase, FTX, Binance, is that they are they are the bank, I guess. You cash out your crypto to them, and then they cash it out to the bank. They are your bridge to the traditional bank. So yes, I think we still need a traditional bank in order, because we cannot really buy everything right now with crypto on the way. I know there are some crypto credit cards and stuff, but to achieve mass adoption, we still can't do it. So I can't go to the street and say, I want to pay you this food with Magic Internet Money. They're gonna look at me like, what the hell are you talking about, right? So okay, so now they go into the fees. So they're comparing the fees for crypto versus Western Union. So yeah, compared to different exchanges, you are going to get different costs. So they do a couple rounds of different exchanges, and then at the end they total up all the costs for all the different exchanges from one coin to another. So Western Union total cost was $488, while Kraken costs $26 to $60, Coinbase $59 to $9, $66 Binance, and FTX is the most expensive. So unfortunately, that is true right now, because centralized exchange still take pretty big cut of your token of whatever you need to do to transfer, and then some of them might have bank withdrawal fees, right? So fees they're gonna be there if you're gonna cash out to traditional finance. So no matter what, they are gonna. But I think this is a wrong type of comparison, because if I want to send $1 million of Ether to another person, I only need to pay the gas fee, right? Compared to Western Union, if you need to send from person A to person B, if I send $1 million, I'm gonna have to pay a lot of money in fees. So that would be the right comparison, I think. And then the next step is about integration of stablecoin into DeFi. So market participants include crypto investor metric providers have raised question whether or not DeFi is truly decentralized, given factors such as protocol fees, governance token control, and platform treasuries. They're absolutely correct. So places like Time Wonderland, Trader Joe, they do have owners. Like there are a team behind them. Even though they allow us to do decentralized things like exchange one token for another or make money from liquidity pool, these platforms in the end of the day are still owned by people behind them. Like the website is behind them. The contract is like sometimes the website is hosted on IPFS, as we can tell. Like Trader Joe went down a few days ago because of the hosting provider Cloudflare went down. So it's still in a way centralized. So crypto borrowing and lending platform Compound threatened to report user income to IRS following a bug. So I didn't know about this, but that's pretty concerning. And Curve Finance shut down on competitors' presence on their system via an emergency DAO. So this is, so there are still competitions between all of these different dexes because people are competing for a set amount of money that goes into DeFi, and they want to get as many people on their platform as possible so they can make money from the fees. And that is exactly why there's competition happening right now. And finally, the true size of DeFi market remains unclear, as metrics vary wildly. Crypto metric provider Glassnode estimated that there are $248 billion locked into DeFi on Ethereum alone, while CoinGecko ranks it $135 billion. And DeFi Post puts it just shy of $100 billion. So we're going to have over $100 billion locked into DeFi at the moment. It's growing huge. It's so interesting that they're going so deep into DeFi, even though this is a stable coin reports. So, and it actually mentioned Uniswap, right? So 8 out of 9 top liquidity pools on Uniswap, the largest decentralized exchange, have at least one leg in a stable coin as of December 13th. So they actually go into Uniswap, go into the stats page, and a lot of them do have the stablecoin pair in there because people are providing liquidity pool for them. So talk about new liquid. So it actually mentioned how Uniswap works and basically one token for another. And they actually go into the impermanent loss, which is like pretty advanced concept, but they did their homework. They know what DeFi exchanges, they know how Uniswap works, and they know about impermanent losses. So they are very knowledgeable. And then they go into concerns about DeFi, and obviously there is these rug pull stuff, and then they're talking about the Squid Game token, which is touting 83,000% APY. And then the dev team pull all the liquidity out of the project and then cause the whole thing to plummet to zero. So that was pretty insane. And then there are other things like hacks and websites where, like, I think this just happened to one of those exchanges I did in one of my videos, where people use fake token to get people to send them the money and then just take their money. So like they actually go into Avalanche, pretty interesting, and they go into Trader Joe to display the warning when you input a custom token. So this is super interesting that they actually know about Avalanche, they know about Trader Joe. So that means they are very deep into this, and take what you will with this information. So this is very interesting as well. So Token Sniffer says that when they scan for contracts for known scams, so there are nearly 1 million crypto tokens trading on DeFi. 1 million. Of those, 65,000 are known scams. So more than 6.5% of all tokens are scams. So that's a lot. That's 65,000 tokens are scams. So as I mentioned, like, you should always watch out who you give approval to when you go to a DeFi DEX. And then it goes to national security concern, where people could use DeFi to convert the money into gift cards and then to move money around. And then like ransomware, usually people dump their stuff into DeFi DEXs to bypass the know your customer rule in traditional centralized exchanges. Yeah, here's a chart of like the percentage of stablecoin supply locked in Ethereum. I'm surprised that DAI is actually this high right now, but DAI is actually higher than USDC as far as Ethereum goes. And then blah blah blah. So it goes into fees as well. Like the Ethereum transaction fee was $56.45 on November, and then to transfer a crypto from one wallet to another is $22, and then 54 on November 11th. So they're talking about Ethereum only, and we all know there's this giant gas problem right now because Ethereum network can only do 30 transactions per second. And I'm very impressed again with this report. They know exactly what's going on, what's new, and they know that people are moving away from Ethereum into stable chains like Avalanche. And yeah, so what's their conclusion? Well, regulators should continue to monitor stablecoins and ensure compliance with existing law. I am all for it, but I don't want them to put too much regulation into it and kill the system. So I think DeFi is an amazing innovation, and it's good that the government is looking into it and try to monitor it and to ensure compliance. And I know for sure a lot of things that are mentioned in this report are true. There are bad actors and with a new system like this, but hopefully in time this message will be passed around in Congress, in the Senate, in the government, so they'll learn more about it and they learn to adopt it rather to be afraid of it, and to get away from that default saying that all cryptos are scam or that all DeFis are scams. So there are amazing innovations happening in this space, and that's why I'm doing this crazy YouTube channel for you guys. So I hope you guys learn a lot from this report, and this is one of those long form videos that I do. But if you guys do like the information that I'm giving out, please like and subscribe to my channel. I do have a Patreon as well if you want to support me. All the tiers are the same, so whether it's $10 or $15, it helps a lot with creating all these contents. And if you are a Patreon supporter, you will get access to this Discord right here, where you can see live tracking of all the whale orders for Time Wonderland tokens. So that is it. It's a long video. I spoke for too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a good day. I'll see you guys next time.